Hello students. In the previous class we started about principles of inheritance and variation. In the previous class I told you about what is called inheritance, what is variation and what is genetics, what is meant by trait. All these points we have discussed. The process of transmission of characters or transfer of characters from the parents to the children is called inheritance. It is also known as heredity. Similarly, the degree of difference between the parents and progeny and their progeny is called variation. The progeny differs from the parent and also among themselves also. That is called variation. The branch of biology which deals with the study of inheritance and variation is called as genetics. So, in this class, let us start with the class number 2 here. In this class, we shall continue about Mendelian experiment also. In the previous class, I told you about Mendelian work. Mendel's history, life history we have discussed, and he worked on pea plant we have seen. But unfortunately, before his death, his works were not recognized by scientific world. So, later in 1900 like that, after the death of Mendel, even after some 30 years like that, in the year 1900, Mendel's works were rediscovered by 3 scientists. These 3 scientists independently rediscovered Mendelian principles. One of them is called as Hugo de Vries. Hugo de Vries is from Holland, a country called Holland, not our Holland. Okay, it is Hugo de Vries from Holland. Von Schermark from Austria. The country, it's the same country where Mendel born. Thus, Von Schermark from Austria and Karl Karens from Germany. These 3 scientists, they have worked, they too did some experiment in different plants, and they independently came across certain principles. Later, they found that even before 30 years, Mendel has done this type of works. So they wanted to republish it and they made it popular. So Mendelian works were made popular by means of these 3 scientists. There can be some one more question, neat questions based on the names of these scientists. Let me repeat it. Hugo de Vries from Holland, Von Schermark from Austria, and Karl Karens from Germany. These 3 scientists, they have rediscovered Mendelian principles. Before going in detail about that rediscovery, yesterday I told you, in the previous class, I told you that why Mendel selected pea plants. You know that pea plants were bisexual in nature and they could be either self-pollinated or cross-pollinated. They are annual plants so that they give good quick results like that. And in addition to that, pea plant can be made into pure line by continuous self-pollination like that. By using this pea plant, what are the steps performed by Mendel for his experiment? The steps in Mendelian experiment we have to see here, and what is the advantage of Mendelian experiments we are going to discuss in this class. So the steps involved in Mendelian experiment is, the first thing is he always selected pure line varieties for his experiment. The first step is he selected pure line varieties as parents. Remember this point. The parents were always pure line varieties in Mendelian experiments. What is meant by pure line varieties? We have seen that any plant or animal which can breed truly for a particular condition or particular character for several generations. A plant or animal which can give that same character for several generations is called as a pure line variety. It is also called as a true breeding variety also. So Mendel selected true breeding varieties only for his experiment. Then the second advantage or second thing he did is he performed self-artificial pollination between the parents. Artificial pollination was done by Mendel. Here he took two plants which may be differing in only one character at a time, and that is an advantage of Mendelian experiment. Mendel concentrated on only one character at a time. So he did not take all the characters at a time, only a single character in a given time. He concentrated on a particular character only. For example, if he has selected height as the character, the parents were resembling each other in all other characters. Yesterday I told you there were 7 characters studied by Mendel and 14 traits studied by Mendel. 7 characters, each character with 2 traits he studied. So out of the 7 characters, he did not take all the characters at a time for his study. In a given time, he concentrated only on one particular character. Height, if he takes for his study, means the parents were resembling in all other 6 characters. They were not differing from each other. In pod shape, they were similar. In pod color, they were similar. In flower shape, flower position, they were similar. In flower color also, they were similar. So in all other characters, they were similar, except for that one particular character of study. That is one advantage of Mendelian experiment. He did not allow all the characters to get confused for a particular pattern of inheritance. He studied only one character at a particular time or in a given time. So that is the another advantage of Mendelian experiment. The next point here is when he was performing artificial pollination, he did emasculation in the pea plant. Emasculation was done by Mendel, and due to that he made the bisexual flower as a female flower. So female flower, the mother parent was selected or made by means of emasculation. Another parent or another individual, it behaved like a male parent, whereas female parent was derived by means of emasculation. What is emasculation? Removal of anther from the bisexual flower. When the anther is removed, the flower automatically becomes a pistillate flower, otherwise a female flower. So, after getting the female flower, he collected pollen grains from the male flower and deposited them into the female style or stigma like that. This is called artificial pollination. So Mendel performed pollination by himself, and he selected the pea plant, male and female he selected with reference to only one character. There is one more advantage performed in the found in the Mendel experiment. Mendel always selected large size sample actually. The sample was having more large size, more number of individuals were taken for his experiment. The large sized sample was taken by Mendel because of when we take a large sized samples, credibility of the result will be more pronounced. There won't when the sample is of more size or bigger size, any small deviation can be easily identified in that bigger sample. If it is a small sample in the sense only 2 individuals, 3 individuals like that, when we take, deviation of inheritance could not be noticed. So Mendel always selected large sized sample. 100 individuals pollinated at a time and 100 seeds collected or more than 100 seeds collected. What will be the progeny when we obtained, when we sow that seed? Such things, all the data, all the credibility of the data will be more pronounced if we take a large size population. And Mendel took always large sized population for his studies. That is one more advantage. There is a fifth step involved in Mendelian experiment. That is, Mendel also used statistical approach. Mathematical and statistical approach was used by Mendel for his experiment. As I have explained you already, Mendel was a teacher, and he taught basic science and mathematics to the high school students, and he understood the importance of mathematics and statistics, and all the statistical methods, he approached for his experiment also. What is the meaning of this statistical approach means? He maintained a complete data of his experiment. A complete data in the sense how many parents were taken and how many were pollinated artificially, how many emasculation were done, how many seeds are obtained, how many were sown into the soil, and the growth of the progeny, result of the progeny, like that. Every data was completely available, and by using statistics, he came across a complete pattern of inheritance. That is statistical approach. Usage of statistical approach is one more significance of Mendelian experiment. In addition to that, he conducted experiment with a systematic plan also. A systematic approach was there for his scientific experiment. These are all the things which I am talking, which happened in Mendelian life 200 years ago. So before 200 years itself, Mendel planned a systematic approach for the scientific experiment. That means usage of mathematics, usage of large sized sample, and emasculating the bisexual flower, and concentrating on only one particular character at a time or in a given time. All these things are some significance of Mendelian ideas. When he did the experiments systematically, he found that these plants are Pisum sativum, follow certain rules of inheritance. They do not deviate that rules, and they are always following the same rules of inheritance. Based on that, Mendel proposed certain laws also. Those laws are nowadays called as laws of inheritance proposed by Mendel. So we are going to discuss about laws of inheritance with reference to Mendelian experiment here. So just let me repeat this point. You can make note of these points also, which may be asked in a 2 mark or 3 mark question here. Mendel concentrated on pure line varieties only. Pure line varieties are nothing but a true breeding variety, which will breed truly for a particular trait only. A tall plant will give rise to tall genes only. It will give tall conditions only for several generations. That is called a pure line variety, and the parents were pure line, always selected by Mendel. Second one is he performed artificial pollination by using emasculation technique and all these things. Then only one character was considered by Mendel at a given time. Later, after coming across certain inheritance pattern and everything, even he tried with 2 characters also. But let us remember, only one particular character was concentrated by Mendel in a given time. What is that one particular character? Those parents will be differing in that only one character. But in all other 6 characters, they were resembling each other. So there is no confusion about different characters. There is no influence of one character over the studied character. That is called a particular character only was concentrated in a given time by Mendel. Then he used large sized samples. He did not use only few plant or few things like that. He used large sized sample. According to statistics or probability and mathematics, large sized sample will give us more credibility. More credible ideas and patterns could be understood by using large sized sample, and Mendel approached that mathematical point also. Then he applied a statistical approach for maintaining that data. He maintained all the conditions in a sheet like that, recorded that, then systematic plan for experimental plan, and based on all those things, he proposed laws of inheritance. About those laws of inheritance, we are going to discuss later. Now, in spite of doing all these things, in spite of planning all the experiment and everything, up to 1900, or up to the beginning of this 20th century, his theories were not recognized more by the scientific world. Why Mendelian theory was not accepted? Why Mendelian theory was not accepted till 1900? We have to see why Mendelian theory was not accepted by the scientific world. For this, there are some reasons we have to remember here. During one of the important reason is during 1900 or during 1860s, in that period, Darwin's theory was gaining more popularity than Mendelian's experiment. So Darwin's theory was becoming more popular. People and scientific world was concentrating on the principle of evolution than the genetics. Because genetics is the beginning, and it is a new branch of biology. And people were not ready to study about a new branch, and they were accepting Darwin's theory more. So Darwin's theory overshadowed Mendelian principles in those before 1900, remember. The second point is, Mendel published his work in a place called Brunn, actually. Brunn is a small village, and in that village there was no research center, no university, and other things were available on those days. So any scientific experiment or any scientific approach done in that small place did not become popular because of the non-popularity of the place where Mendel worked. That is also another reason we can say. Because from Brunn, no more famous scientists have come across before that. So the place, importance of the place also matters here. Third thing is, mathematical approach or usage of statistics in the biology was also not accepted by many scientists. So most of the biologists did not accept usage of mathematics here. We were thinking that mathematics is a separate branch and science or natural science is another branch like that. Usage of statistics was not accepted during that period of time. Later, we understood the importance of application of mathematics in scientific research. But during the time of Mendel, this usage of statistics were not accepted, not appreciated by many of the scientists. So, these are the three major reasons why Mendelian theory was not accepted during his period time. In 1886 or 88, Mendel died, and even after his death, his theory was not become popular. In 1900 only, Mendelian theories have become popular by means of three rediscoverers. As I told you earlier, Hugo de Vries from Holland, von Schermark from Austria, and Karl Karens from Germany, they have rediscovered Mendelian principles. So far I told you the advantages of Mendelian step. Otherwise, the methodology of Mendelian experiment I told you here, which can be asked in a 3-mark question. Then I told you why Mendelian theory was not accepted during his lifetime. That are 3 reasons you have to remember. Then we have seen who are the rediscoverers of Mendelian principle. So rediscoverers name can be asked in 1 mark and even in NEET exams and all these things. Just recall this point, make note of these points in your notebook for revision and all, it will be helpful. Let us continue with the experiment, actual experiment performed by Mendel. Okay, just take care of, make note of these points. I hope you might have noted this. Let us continue about the actual experiment performed by Mendel. As I told you earlier, Mendel concentrated on only one particular character in a given time. When we concentrate on only one character and perform a hybridization experiment, then it will be called as monohybrid cross, we can say. So monohybrid cross was performed by Mendel in the beginning. That in the case of that pea plant, we can say. So when we concentrate on only one character and do hybridization experiment, it is called as monohybrid cross. Let us take one example and study about Mendelian experiment here. For example, Mendel selected a tall pea plant and he crossed it with a dwarf pea plant here. So let us consider tall is the male and dwarf is the female plant, like that. Female plant means what is the meaning? This plant was emasculated and the pollen grains are not there. So pollen grains have to be obtained from the male plant only, then it should be deposited over the dwarf plant. So this is tall and dwarf were crossed by Mendel for studying about inheritance of height. Because here you can remember height is the character and tall and dwarf are traits. So height is the character. With that one character, single character, how it is inherited through the progeny, we are going to discuss. When Mendel crossed tall and dwarf plant, he got all the offspring, all the progeny as a tall only in the first generation. Let us consider it as a first generation. These are the parents and this is the first generation. And all the first generation offspring were tall only. Even though we have taken dwarf, the dwarfness did not appear in the first generation. But then what Mendel did means, he self-pollinated two such tall plants. Whatever offsprings were obtained from the first generation, they only have become parents for the second generation and they were self-pollinated. They were self-pollinated. Two tall individuals of first generation were self-pollinated. When such a self-pollination was done, we got second generation here. So these are parents. This is first generation. Now we are getting second generation. In the second generation, Mendel obtained both tall and dwarf varieties in the ratio of 3:1. Remember this point. So in the second generation, Mendel got tall and dwarf pea plants both in the ratio of 3:1. Otherwise 75% is to 25%, like that. He got both tall and dwarf. This is the simple experiment performed by Mendel. You may recall that Mendel worked in pea plant for 7 years. And 1856 to 1863, like that, he worked with Mendel pea plant and 7 characters he studied. Among them, one experiment I am talking here, and he got 3:1 in the second generation actually. By observing this result, Mendel raised 2 questions. There were 2 questions arising from this based on this experiment. The first one is, we have taken dwarf as a parent, but in the first generation dwarfness did not appear. Why dwarfness has not appeared in the first generation? That is the question. So first question based on this experiment is, even though dwarfness was taken as a parent, why it has not appeared in the first generation? Why all of them are tall? What happened to the dwarfness? Why dwarfness did not appear? That is the first question. In the second generation, if you observe, means dwarfness appeared for 25%. That means in the this first generation offsprings are the parents for second generation. In the parents, we have not taken dwarf at all. In the first generation, the offsprings were not at all dwarf. Only 2 tall plants were crossed or self-pollinated. and we got dwarfness. When dwarfness was not taken, how it has appeared in the second generation? That is the question. So two questions were asked based on this experiment. Why dwarfness did not appear in the first generation, even though it was taken as a parent? That is the thing. Why? Why dwarfness did not appear? That is the first question. Second thing is, how dwarfness appeared in the second generation, even though it was not taken as a parent? For the second generation, who is the parent? The first generation offspring. So first generation offspring have become the parents for second generation. In the first generation, there is no dwarf at all, but in the second generation, it has appeared. How did dwarfness appear in the second generation? Why it has not appeared in the first generation? That is the question asked by the Mendel based on this experiment. So he thought there may be some problem in the method of hybridization. There may be some misconception or some ideas like that. So what he did means, in the next time, instead of height, he did the experiment with reference to position of flower also. Here you must remember, only on position of flower he concentrated in this time. Here in height and other characters, the plants were resembling each other only. So with reference to position, when he did the experiment, for example, he selected one terminal positioned flower and crossed it with an axial flower positioned plant here. A terminal flower producing plant is crossed with axial flower producing plant. In the first generation, all the offsprings produced were terminal only. There were no axial flower producing plant was formed. All were terminal only in the first generation. Then when he self-pollinated those first generation plant, two terminal plants were self-pollinated. In the second generation, he got both terminal and axial plant in 3:1 ratio. Remember, in the same ratio, here also the second generation offsprings are produced. So now the point is, even when we perform the monohybrid cross with reference to position, the pattern of inheritance remains same. That means in the first generation, the axial flower has not been produced. So why axial is not produced in the first generation, even though it was taken as a parent? That is the first question. How axial position flower is produced in the second generation, even though it is not taken as its parent? In the parent, axial is not there, but it has come in the second generation. In the parent here, axial is there, but in the F1 generation, axialness has not come. That means, same question, why it has been not produced in the first generation, how it has been produced in the second generation, that became the question. So now also Mendel just thought about all these things. Then he went for another character also. For example, this time he took shape of the seed as the next experiment for his consideration. All these things are monohybrid crosses only. Why monohybrid cross? In a given time, he was concentrating on one character, one particular character only. Either height only he was concentrating, or shape of the position of the flower, or shape like that. For example, when he took a round seeded plant and crossed it with a wrinkled seeded plant. Imagine, one of them was female, another one was male. Female is produced by means of emasculation, and when round and wrinkled plants were crossed, in the first generation, all the offsprings were round seeded only. There is no wrinkled seeded plant at all were round seeded only. So, here also, why wrinkledness has not come in the first generation? And when he did the self-pollination for this same round plant, or when he crossed two such rounded seeded plant for second generation, remember, F1 offspring have become the parent for F2 generation. These are first generation offspring, they have become the parent for second generation. In the second generation, again Mendel got both round and wrinkled seeded varieties in the ratio of 3:1. So, everywhere 3:1 is the ratio obtained. Everywhere same pattern of inheritance is there. In the first generation, one of the traits were not expressed. In the second generation, that trait has reappeared again. So why it has not appeared in the first generation? How it has appeared in the second generation? That became the question based on the monohybrid cross. Now Mendel worked upon other 4 characters also. All the 7 characters he took simultaneously or independently, and he did monohybrid crosses for each and every character. In each character there were 2 traits I told you. So he took 7 characters, he did 7 type of artificial hybridization and monohybrid cross. Fortunately, in all these 7 experiments, F2 generation produced 3:1 only. In the first generation, one of the traits has not appeared. In the second generation, it has reappeared. So that why and how is the question present in the mind of Mendel. Now, based on this work, Mendel, after some 3-4 years of his experimental data and everything, he published some laws of inheritance. By seeing the result of these experiments, Mendel realized that there is a particular pattern of inheritance in all these hybridization experiments. Something is followed, some rules have been followed by this plant. So these characters are following certain rules. And what are those rules of inheritance? What are those formula followed by that inheritance? That was given by Mendel in the form of laws of inheritance. We are calling them as Mendelian principles of inheritance or Mendelian law of inheritance. So I hope you understand this monohybrid cross outline. Still it has not yet been completed. We have to give the answer for these 2 questions. Just I told you the outline of monohybrid cross performed by Mendel. Here you can remember, in the first generation only one of the traits have been obtained. But in the second generation, both traits have been obtained in 3:1 ratio. Why one trait did not appear in the first generation? Why that same trait appeared in the second generation? How is it possible? This is the question. And for this, we have to remember Mendelian principle of inheritance. Let me tell you about Mendelian principle of inheritance. But before going in detail about Mendelian principle of inheritance, students, let us learn some terminologies related to genetics. Some basic terminologies we have to remember, learn, then we shall go for the answers for these 2 questions. Just half a minute, make note of this outline of Mendelian principle. Be fast. Well, I hope you might have noted these points. So, in this class, so far, we have seen what are the steps involved in Mendelian experiment, what is the significance of Mendelian method we have seen. Then why that Mendelian experiments were not accepted by scientific community till 1900, and who were the rediscoverers of Mendelian principles, all those things we have seen. Apart from that, I gave you some outline about monohybrid cross also based on Mendelism. What is a monohybrid cross? It is a cross between two individuals with reference to one particular character. That character may be height, that character may be position of flower, or it may be shape of the seed or color of the seed. Like that, 7 characters were studied by Mendel independently. That word independently is very important. When he studied about a character called height, the two parents were resembling each other in all the other 6 characters. Out of 7 characters, when Mendel concentrated on one particular character, he maintained that in all other 6 characters they were resembling each other. When he, for example, when he crossed tall and dwarf plant, these plants were similar in position of flower, similar in shape of the seed, similar in color of the seed. Like that, in all other characters they were similar. Right. Now we have seen the outline of Mendelian experiment. There were 2 questions based on monohybrid cross performed by Mendel. To understand the 2 questions, to answer the 2 questions, we must basically learn some terminologies related to genetics. Very important point I am going to discuss here. Terminologies in genetics we are going to study here. Very important one. Many times one of these terminologies are asked in board exam. What are alleles? What is a gene? Like that. Many questions are asked here. And let us recall what are these various terminologies, basic terminologies in genetics. Dear students, please try to concentrate on these terminologies. If you don't understand that, there is no use of further continuing this lesson. Because if you want to learn further aspects of this lesson, you must know the genetic terminologies. Basic terminologies in genetics is very, very important. First, let us see one by one those terminologies. Later, we shall go for monohybrid cross explanation. First, before going in detail about these things, let us see what is called as a gene. We have to see here. What is a gene? Remember, the word gene was given by a scientist called Johansen. Remember, the word genetics was coined by Bateson. Okay. The word genetics was coined by a scientist called Bateson, whereas the word gene is coined by a scientist called Johansen. Remember, so Bateson coined genetics, and William Bateson, Wilhelm Johansen, he coined the word gene. What is that gene? Remember, the gene is defined as a unit of inheritance. The unit of inheritance can be called as a gene actually. The unit of inheritance is called gene. Remember, just one example let us see here. What is the unit of inheritance or carrier of inheritance? What is the meaning here means? Yesterday we have seen that from the parents, characters are transmitted to the progeny. So progeny inherit their characters from the parents. How these characters are transmitted to the progeny? For example, suppose imagine when we see a newborn child, just we pamper that child by saying that, oh, this child is so cute, its nose is just resembling its father's nose. See its eyes are just like mother's eye. See the mouth, it is just like his grandfather's mouth. Both were not having teeth. Okay. In that way, we are just comparing that child with their parents. How these characters are passed? When we say that its eyes are resembling the mother means, it doesn't mean the mother has plucked her eye and given it to the child. Remember this point. When we say that its nose resembles the father means, it doesn't mean the father has given his nose directly to his children. Then how the characters are passed from the parents to the progeny? So here only we come across the vehicles of heredity or unit of heredity. Johansen proved that the characters are passed from the parents to progeny through the genes. So characters are not directly obtained from the parents. They are passed through the genes only. That is why the gene can be considered as a physical and structural unit of inheritance. So a gene is nothing but physical and structural unit of inheritance. The parents are passing their character to their progeny through gene only. For example, height of the parent can be passed to the progeny through a gene called H. Just let us remember like this with an example. Eye color of the parent can be passed to the progeny through a gene called E. Let us imagine like that. So genes are responsible for transmitting the characters from the parents to the progeny. It is not, the parents do not give their character directly to the progeny. The parents give their character through the genes only. For another example I can say here, suppose imagine if you want to listen to the song of S.P. Balasubramaniam or Janaki or Lata Mangeshkar, like that means, it is not that every time we have to bring them in front of us and make them to sing. What we can do is, their songs can be recorded and it can be played in some of the devices. Just like that, parents need not directly give their characters to the progeny. They record their characters in the gene, and that gene will be passed to the progeny. That is why a gene is considered as the physical and structural unit of inheritance. Now the next point here is, what is that gene made up of? Okay, we know that definition. It is the unit of inheritance. Then what is that gene made up of? What is structurally that gene is made up of means? Remember one interesting point, that gene is nothing but a segment of DNA. Remember, in most of the individuals, a segment of DNA will be acting like the gene, except for some organisms who has RNA as genetic material. But in a majority of the organism, DNA is the genetic material. So a segment of DNA will be considered as a gene. That is the basic raw definition for the gene. There are many other definitions also, but the main point here is, what is the gene made up of means, it is made up of a segment of DNA. In first year, you may be remembering, DNA is made up of nucleotides. Is it or not? DNA is made up of nucleotides. So, a gene can be another way defined as a group of nucleotides who can be responsible for transmitting a particular character. Group of nucleotides. A particular gene may be made up of 1,000 nucleotides. Another gene may be made up of 10,000 nucleotides. That is, group of nucleotides responsible for transmitting a character will be called as a gene here. Remember, 3 points I told you about gene. Gene is the term coined by Johansson. It can be defined as a physical and structural unit of inheritance or heredity. So structural unit of heredity is what? Nothing but gene only. It is responsible for transmitting the character from the parents to progeny. So parents do not give their character directly to the progeny. They give their characters through the gene only. Then I told you the nature of that gene. It is nothing but a segment of DNA which comprises group of nucleotide. The structure of gene or the length of the gene may vary depending upon the number of nucleotides. Some genes may be having 10,000 nucleotides. Some may be having 1,000 nucleotides. Whatever it is, basically they are made up of nucleotides. One last point here is, remember, the term gene was almost coined in the year 1909 only. That is much later than Mendel. When Mendel did his experiment in 1863 like that, he was not aware of the term called gene. So what Mendel did means, instead of using the term gene, Mendel used a term called factor actually. So remember, Mendel used the term factor for representing the gene. He was not aware of the word gene, but he was aware that some factors are responsible for transmitting the characters. Those are simply called as factors by Mendel. So Mendel also knew about gene, but not in the same name. He called them as a factor. So the word Mendel's factor and Johansson gene both are similar synonyms. Remember, these are the 4 points reference to the gene. Next to this, let me tell you, introduce another terminology, very important terminology, most confusing terminology with reference to genetics here. What is called as allele? We have to remember here. Allele. Alleles are otherwise called as allelomorphs. The word allelomorphs we have to discuss here. In I think 2 years before in board examination, this was the first question asked in 1 mark section. What are alleles? So what are alleles means? Please remember, the allele is nothing but alternate form of a gene. Alternate forms of a gene will be called as an allele. Remember this point. Allele is nothing but alternate forms of a gene. A gene is representing a character. But one interesting point is, when evolution is taking place, this gene undergoes different modifications. Remember, try to get this point. When evolution is going on, occurring in the nature, a gene does not remain as it is. It slightly undergoes some modification and it starts producing some of its variants. Remember this point. So in a population, if you see, means you cannot get the same character. That character will occur in various variants. Those variants are formed by means of alleles, or they are caused by means of allele, we can say. So what is allele? It is an alternate form of a gene. Alternate forms of a gene can be called as alleles or allelomorphs. They can be called. How these alternate forms are produced? They are produced due to evolution. During evolution, a simple event called mutation takes place. Due to mutation, a gene will undergo some modification. It will become different variant. It will become different variant. Those variants of a gene can be called as allele or allelomorph. Dear students, just I will give you some example for understanding this process called allele. Remember, suppose if you have a 5 rupee coin, means that 5 rupee coin has got 2 alternate sides for it. It may be either head or it may be tail, we can say. When you toss that coin, you can get either head or a tail. They are the alternative sides of the same coin. That means their value will be same. They represent the same value, 5 rupee only. But they are exhibiting different sides, alternates. That is called variants of the coin, we can say. Simply like that. A gene is there in a individual means. Because of evolution, because of sexual reproduction and other events, mutation, some change may occur in that gene. Those changes will result in variants of that gene. Those variants are called as alternate forms of a gene. Just like a coin has got 2 alternate forms, just like a hero performs 2 alternative roles in a film. Kamal Haasan has performed 10 roles in a particular film. Same hero performing 10 different roles. Similarly, same gene performing so many different variants in a population. I am talking about population here. In a population, you can come across one gene occurring in various modified forms. Those modified variants are called alternative forms of the gene. That alternative forms of a gene is called alleles or allelomorph, we can say here. Now, that is a very important terminology, remember. Here basically, one more point let us recall. In the lesson called reproduction, we have seen that there is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves two parents, is it or not? Sexual reproduction involves two parents. That means it is otherwise called as biparental inheritance, it can be called. Sexual reproduction is a biparental inheritance, where there will be a male sex and a female sex. Male parent is there and female parent is there. Male parent will pass his characters through his own group of genes, we can say. So genes are passed by the male parent. Let us call them as paternal genes actually. Paternal genes. Similarly, female parent passes her characters through a group of her own genes. Let us call it as maternal genes. So, maternal genes are the group of genes obtained from the mother. Paternal genes are a group of genes obtained from the father. Father means male parent, not a church father. Okay, here it is male parent who gives the paternal gene and a female parent gives the maternal gene. Now the resulting zygote is there, you know. That zygote will get two sets of genes in it. The zygote will receive two sets of genes. One is a paternal set, another one is a maternal set, it will be receiving. So when it gets two sets of genes, we call that zygote as a diploid zygote. So in a sexual reproduction, zygote will be diploid in nature. What is meant by diploid? Di means two, ploid means sets. Two sets of chromosomes or two sets of genes are there in the zygote. That's why a zygote becomes a diploid individual. Why? How it has received two sets of genes? One is from paternal set, another one is from maternal set. Now remember, if father is having curly hair, means let us consider he is having capital C gene in him. If mother is having straight hair, means both alleles or both variants will come to the zygote. The zygote will receive curly hair gene also as well as straight hair gene also from the parents. Both will come to a zygote. That's why a zygote is considered as a diploid. This diploid zygote will undergo growth and development. It will produce a diploid organism. In that organism also, both the genes will be present. Both the alternative forms will be present in that organism also. But it will not show both the characters. The diploid organism need not have one side curly hair and another side straight hair like that. It will have only one character, only it will exhibit only one character here. So, what I want to tell you here is, there are many alternate forms for a gene. In a sexual reproduction, we receive two such alternatives. One from the male parent, another one from the female parent. Even though we receive two sets of genes, we need not express both genes here. Any one only we will express. Our hair will be either curly hair like father, or it may be a straight hair like the mother. We don't exhibit both the mixed hair or half side this like that. We do not exhibit actually. So that is a point you can understand allelomorph. Even in computer science and computer, you can understand that computer knowledge like that. There are many versions for a particular application. Windows 5 we are telling, Windows 7 we are telling, 8 like that. Many versions are produced in a computer language. In the same way, a gene will also exhibit many of its versions. How? Due to evolution. due to a point called mutation. It may be, if at all, curly hair is version number 1 means after evolution, after mutation, it may become straight hair, and version number 2 it can be called. At a time, all the alleles are not produced. They have undergone modification. What is the name of that modification? It is called mutation. Mutation will result in the formation of what is that? New alleles. So alleles are nothing but modified forms of a gene. They are nothing but alternate forms of a gene. Now students, let me ask you one question. When an allele is a modified form of a gene, what is it basically made up of? Again, let us come to the same point. Even if it is a capital C or S or whatever it is, even if it is a modified form, basically they are also nothing but segment of DNA only. So whether it is an allele or gene, it is nothing but segment of DNA. So it is segment of DNA only, but it is version number 1, version number 2, or first act, double act, triple act, like that. They show differences in a population. That is called mutation, and all the points we have to remember. Now lastly, one thing is, based on your knowledge of cell biology, you can recall this point. Where do we have this DNA? DNAs occur in our chromosomes. Is it or not? They occur, they are present in our chromosome. Where do these chromosomes present? Chromosomes are present in the nucleus of an eukaryotic cell. Well-developed nucleus will contain chromosome. Where is the nucleus present? It is present inside the cell. So, each and every cell of our body, maybe millions of cells, each and every cell of our body has got a nucleus. Each nucleus has got certain number of chromosomes. Those chromosomes are made up of DNA. That DNA is made up of nucleotides. Remember, among the nucleotides, a group of nucleotides will become a gene actually. So gene is nothing but a group of nucleotides representing a particular character. Those nucleotides form the DNA. DNA form the chromosome. Chromosome is present in nucleus, and the nucleus is present in our cell actually. So actually, when you receive paternal genes, means they are packed in paternal chromosome, and we are getting it. Maternal genes are packed in maternal chromosomes, and they are given to the zygote. For example, we human beings have 46 chromosomes in each cell means. How do we get that 46 chromosomes? 23 are obtained from father. Again I am telling, father means not a church father, the male parent. And 23 chromosomes are obtained from the mother. So these 23 are called paternal chromosome. These 23 are called maternal chromosome. We are getting totally 2 sets. 2 sets are nothing but 2n condition or diploid condition. Paternal set can be mentioned as n, maternal set is mentioned as n, means these 2 sets will become 2n condition, and a zygote, resulting human zygote, will be having 46 chromosomes. So today, very important point we discussed here, some of the terminologies in genetics. Only 2 terminologies I am able to tell you today. Let us continue, remaining some 6 to 8 terminologies are there. And today, what is a gene and what is an allele, we have seen. So gene was coined by Johansson. It is a physical and structural unit of inheritance. It is basically a segment of DNA. It is made up of group of nucleotides. Mendel was not aware of the word gene, but he used the word factor. So Mendelian factor and Johansson gene are similar. Allele is nothing but alternate forms of a gene. Due to evolution, a gene will undergo modification, change. Because of that change, it will occur in various forms. Those forms are called, what are the alleles? As I told you, one hero is playing 2 roles in a film. Like that, one gene can play 1 or 2 many roles in a population. That is called as allele, alternate forms of a allele. So please recall, about Mendelian steps, advantages of Mendelian steps, then why Mendelian principles were not accepted till 1900, and then this outline of Mendelian experiment I told you. Finally, gene and allele we have discussed in this class. In the next class, let us continue with further terminologies. So please may keep reading about all these things so that it will be useful to recall in further classes. Thank you very much. Thank you.